they had a plan. They were able to execute their plan, and we had a few opportunities. We weren't able to cash in on them, and hard fought game, and opened it up a little bit at the end. But those games that you're hit or two away, we just weren't able to get them. They had a plan and executed it.
Mike, you may not be able to share all the details, but what did you tell your club after the game?
Yeah, I've had a lot of clubs, been in this game a long time. I respect not only the fact they play the game right. They show up every day, every single day, regardless of circumstance, regardless of doubleheaders, regardless of sitting in rooms. There was zero wavering with this group. And, you take it individually, you take it in a vacuum, and you watch us play. This is not what I share with the team. This is to you guys. But, yeah, you can appreciate it, maybe not. I don't really know how much you appreciate it. It's not my business. But I guess the point I'm making is you can't appreciate unless you lived it. And, this group respects this game, respects their teammates like no other team I've ever seen. And that's a pretty high bar. Not a complaint in the group, not a pushback on anything. They just figured out solution after solution. And, we couldn't figure out some solutions the last couple of days. And then also told them that, what? As I get older, it's about figuring out, I was always loved this game, still do. And the respect over how they play it, how they compete with class and dignity is something I respect. But as you get a little older, at least I do, you appreciate and hopefully have a little wisdom, maybe not too much, but you have a little wisdom to be able to see there's a bigger picture than baseball. Obviously, that's why we're here. It's about the wins and the losses. I'm not trying to sugarcoat that. We know how this business works. But this is a special group of men that I respect highly. And they're really a tremendous example for everything that's right with being a good individual and being a good steward for your community or for your team. Anything that people didn't agree about, it was talked about rationally, came to terms with a lot of different issues relative to how we want to go about our protocols beyond the mandatory ones with COVID. The group was pretty amazing with how they talked about and talked through and had conversations about social justice. And ultimately, it's a great example for unity. And, this is, for me, it's bigger than our game. It's just a great example for it because I feel like sometimes there's some areas in our world that need it. And those are the broad strokes of what I shared with them. I love this team.
Mike, I don't even really know what to say about the timing here. Can you share your thoughts on the passing of Bob Gibson?
Well, when it rains, it pours. We knew he wasn't in great shape the last couple of days, so, and somewhat recently, but it's an official, another big loss right there with Lou that, it's hard to swallow. For the Gibson family, our hearts and prayers go out to him, and we know he's in a place with more comfort and peace. But it's a big loss for our organization. Everything that I talked about, Bob Gibson stood for. Stood up for himself, stood up for his teammates. He was an elite athlete, elite competitor. He was a winner. think he would have enjoyed playing on this team. We're going to miss him. I'd also like to congratulate the Padres. You know, we played them last year, and you could see the ability. And there's a saying that I've used, you know, you can rely on your ability or you can develop it. And they've got a lot of guys with a lot of ability that you saw their tools came at you. You know, we played them early last year. They took 2 out of 3. We snuck one out on the Sunday game. And you go, man, that's a toolsy group over there. But you can see them, we played them later over here, and you can just see them putting it together. And sometimes those, you know, players individually and groups don't put things together. You know, they just rely on the ability. Not saying they don't work hard, but this group clearly is not only rely on their ability, but they've developed it. And it's a credit to those players, and it's a credit to their staff. You know, it's a well-prepared team. You know, they do a lot of the little things that don't get talked about that you see. You know, they game plan well, but they play the game with enthusiasm, but they also play the game with some substance as well. So it's a nice club, and I wish them the very best.
Kind of on that topic, Mike, Fernando Tatis's defense, did you see that last year? I mean, the play he made to stay on the bag, on the high throw, and then the dive-in catch of Paul's kind of.
Yeah, we saw it last year. I mean, it's got tools just come at you, man. You know, it's like, because he's a fairly big dude. You know, I mean, he's a nice looking athlete, and so yeah, you saw it. Nothing he did today or this series surprised me at all on the field. He's a plus across the board tools guy. I mean, he can run, throw, field, hit for pop, and he can play defense. So he can do it. He's a good player.
Was the most surprising aspect of this game for you maybe a couple of mistakes you got your infield made in that one inning that are very uncharacteristic?
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's been part of the reason we've been in so many games we play. We played a lot of close games, as you know, and that's been our backbone is the defense. And, you know, Colton just tried to make a play on a guy that could run with Grisham, you know. And at Cronenworth, at the bottom of their lineup, there was some credit too, because they didn't allow us to have any easy outs at the bottom, and they turned that lineup over and they put themselves in position to let those guys they want up be on base to do some damage. So there was some pressure on that bottom that really lengthened that lineup. But yeah, Colton just tried to make a play, and good for him, man. He's, you know, if he don't win another Gold Glove, I'll be stunned. And then, you know, we go out, we walk Tatis, and everybody was on board with the plan. We got the chopper, and, you know, that's a tough lane for Eddie to throw in. And I give Alex a lot of credit because he buckled down and did some, you know, some real damage control after the Hosmer walk. So, you know, those plays end up making difference in big games. And, but I will say this, we've made a lot of them. So I'm not going to be very critical of those. Without our defense, we wouldn't be here.
Mike, what Jack did for you guys tonight, we've asked you a lot about his season. We've asked him a lot about his season and sort of the ebbs and flows of it. But for him to have his best when you maybe needed it most tonight, what does that say about him?
That's why Jack's an ace. It's what they do. It's what Wayno did multiple times this year and in his career. It's what Jack did for us last year in the second half that allowed us to win our division and go to being a series away from winning the World Series. He's got the combination of everything. He's got the size, the strength, the pitches, but he's also talked earlier about it. Jack's in the 1 percentile of developing his immense talent, mentally and physically. And the beautiful thing for us and the scary thing for the rest of this league, he's still a work in progress. He's only going to continue to get better. But he stepped up on a big stage tonight and did his part to more than give us a chance. heck of a job.
Mike, the arms that they threw at you today, did any of them surprise you with their stuff, or maybe your reports were off on them?
No, our reports were spot on. There was no mysteries about what they were doing. To their credit, they were able to execute it. The one arm we didn't see, I thought was, another nice arm. I guess good arms down there. Let's don't kid ourselves. There's a reason this club's in the playoffs. The Patino kid also came out, and I thought he got first and third, and he was able to buckle down and get out of it. I thought that was a big part of the game where we were, because we scratched there. Things just get different. But no, you give them credit. I know they were on some fumes, and they answered the bell.
You've said they're a momentum team. Did you see that happening with the parade of arms, one after another, then building off of that?
More the momentum comment was more about their offense. But I do see the point. It can go either way. The guys, obviously came in, and we took some tough at-bats, and we just couldn't scratch. But the momentum is more about how their offense likes to go. And just to be clear, we weren't trying to stop their momentum by being non-aggressive. We just wanted to make sure we stayed aggressive, actually, and, you let our defense work so they couldn't get anything going.
Mike, you guys went through a lot this year, as you talked about earlier. What's really your biggest takeaway and I know you might not have been able to reflect on 2020 so far as a whole, but when you're sitting here, what's really your biggest takeaway from this year with this team?
It's a pretty remarkable accomplishment, quite candidly. Again, we no one can experience, and look, I don't want to sit there and say we're not satisfied with what just happened. We're not satisfied with our season being over in the wild card. I'm make that perfectly clear. Nobody in that clubhouse is satisfied. There's some disappointed people in that clubhouse, but there's also, for my seat, a sense of satisfaction of, in an unusual year, we had the most unusual, and we were able to get where we got with a lot of different well-documented things. And so remarkable's probably the first word that comes to my mind.
Like with those things in mind, those hurdles that you mentioned, how will you go about evaluating the different aspects of the team? How much will this, I guess, the chaoticness of the season, whether it's the length of the year or the hurdles overcome due to the virus, how will that impact your evaluation of the offense, which we've asked you about a lot this year, of course?
Yeah, I think there's got to be an evaluation. There was a body of work there. I do think that there needs to be a little different factor in how to look at it. And candidly, I'm not in real evaluation mode yet, but I do think there's areas we did things really, really well. There's areas that we probably couldn't do some things as well as we'd have liked based on the inconvenience of the schedule. It's not an excuse, it's reality. We made a lot of adjustments to it and still were able to compete. And I don't think we missed a whole lot. But relative to offense, really doesn't matter. Offense, defense, base running, pitching, communication, the whole shooting match. We will do our internal audit like we always do, and we'll figure out a way to get better, and we'll be fair, but we won't alibi anything.
Mike, can you talk about the choice there to have Austin Dean, guy, obviously like him against fastballs, I'm guessing there.
We like him against high fastballs. Guys with some hop, he's usually right on it. And he fouled off 2 pitches right back. So, of all the guys we had remaining, he was the best at bat, And we actually planned for right when we hit Miller, that we pretty much were certain that at bat came back around, it'd probably be Rosie, and Dean was our guy for that at bat the whole game.
I'd be remiss not to ask you too about the catcher who had a double and a walk and now goes off possibly in free agency. Just what he's meant to the team, not just, this year, I guess, specifically, and all you had to go through.
It's hard to capture, Derek. you know, I say this all the time about Yachty. He makes everybody, including me, better. And in the world of evaluation now, where most everything's analytics, and you cannot put an analytic to Yachty or Molina. You can't come close to doing it. How he shepherds our staff, how he leads by example, how he shows, you just can't do it. I mean, you're talking about look, we're throwing out balls left and right for records he's tying and breaking, you know, and the longevity of success. And let's don't kid ourselves. There's pillars to organizations that are there that, I mean, there's a reason we've been to the playoffs a lot. I mean, is he the sole reason? He wouldn't even say he's the sole reason, but look up and realize since 2004, how many times he's been to the playoffs and how many people are still standing outside of Wayno. And he's, I can tell you this in simple terms. I know it's a business. I want what's best for him. I want what's best for the organization. And I can tell you honestly, I hope like heck I see him in spring training. It's 6 o'clock in the morning coming in our complex getting his work in, because this guy's still got some baseball left in him. And he's dedicated himself to be able to play, not only play, but excel. And I think he more than proved that this year. And this is a hungry guy that, you know, I'd love to have back. And I don't know how much clearer I can make that. But it's not in my hands.